Jaguars Happy Hour is brought to you by Dream Finders Homes. And now, a guy who wants you to know that it's okay during the first week of OTAs for the defense to be outperforming the offense, J.P. Shadrick.
Welcome in. It's Jaguars Happy Hour. Them's the rules. I don't make them. We're presented by Dream Finders Homes, official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Busy hour ahead. A Lageman Lane show today. Jeff Lageman, Austen Lane in studio with us. OTAs underway. The first one was open to the media on Monday. They've had a couple since then. We'll discuss coming up. And then the expectations coming off OTAs and some of the highlights and clips that go out on social media. And some news from around the league. Some minor rule changes. The preseason schedule is out for the Jaguars now officially. And Jim Irsay passed away, the owner of the Indianapolis Colts. We'll get to all that coming up shortly on 1010XL, Jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube. J.P. Shadrick with you, Jeff Lageman, Austen Lane. Gentlemen, good afternoon. What's up, Logs?
Good afternoon. And by the way, you missed the headline.
Yeah.
That's like today's news.
What's that?
The tush push is back.
Absolutely. Yeah, it never went away.
I mean, how do you feel about that?
Well, Jag stopped it twice, remember?
Right.
So be better on defense. Be more stout.
What do you think about that?
So, I mean, I'm all for the tush push because it's a football play. And I think the teams that voted against it are teams that can't stop it. So you got to figure it out. Now, Jeff, you're a defensive guy. I have an idea of how to stop the tush push. Now, come along with me a little bit. And JP, feel free to join in here. Mm-hmm. So you talk about it's probably going to go in the A gap or B gap, right? This is a quarterback sneak, right? And then they push from behind. I say we get our two biggest guys at the nose, tackle, get them in the middle. We get our linebackers, bring them down, and we push the defensive tackles in their tush. So it's almost like what we call like a scrum, like a rugby scrum, where you take your linebackers, you push your defensive tackles forward, and that's going to create that penetration to stop the tush push. No team in the NFL right now does this. I say you give it a try.
Well, see, now, okay, the other part of that is that all of a sudden you're pushing two defensive linemen. That means that's four guys in that small space.
Correct.
What if they just break it wide? And you got numbers on it.
They could be a reaction to that. But I think the official term is not a rugby scrum.
Okay.
Because I have been called out on using that term many times, saying for the and JP, you might need to
it's been a while.
Do a little research on the exact wording of it, but I have been called out about 4 different times saying stop using that term. That's not what it is. So anyway, but if you're the teams that voted against it, or should I say voted against banning the tush push, aren't you a little embarrassed?
Yeah.
I mean,
because every team can do it. It's not like the Eagles just have like the magic recipe where it's like, hey, we can just do it. Like, any team can do the tush push. It's just they figured out whether it's the cadence, whether it's just the pad level. Like they've mastered it.
Or whether the quarterback can squat 600 pounds too. That never hurts.
Well, that
probably doesn't hurt either.
But I mean, he's been hurt, and they still did it when he obviously couldn't squat 600 pounds. But what I'm most proud of about that whole situation is that our team, the Jacksonville Jaguars, did not vote to ban the tush.
Yeah.
Okay? Yep. They stood with some other teams and said, no, we're not going to penalize a team for having a very good play and being good at it.
Yeah.
Shame on all the other teams that voted to ban the tush.
It was only like 2 votes away.
Yeah, but 2 votes is all it takes, man.
I know.
I mean, where was this energy when Tom Brady was getting, when it was like 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, Tom Brady quarterback sneak every single time? It was like 100%er. Like, I would have voted against Tom Brady on the quarterback sneak. I'm going to vote against a Derrick Henry stiff arm. Like, that's not conducive to playing defense. Like, ban the stiff arm then. Ban everything.
Ban the Derrick Henry stiff arm.
Yeah, ban the Derrick Henry stiff arm.
I agree with that one. I'm tired of that
I'm tired of seeing the highlights.
Over and over again.
Oh, that is one of the greatest plays in football. I don't care which side of the fence you lie on, because unfortunately some of those highlight stiff arms have been at the expense of this team.
Certainly have.
Yeah.
But I must say that when they're in first person watching it, you're sitting there going, oh my God, did you just see that? Yeah. And I just want to go, oh my God, did you just see that? I wanted to say that on the radio, but you can't.
Yeah. Yep.
Not our team.
Yeah, you can.
It's not our team.
You believe that we missed so many tackles on one play. Can you imagine
It was like, you're kind of the opposite. I can't believe that we're just going to allow him to stiff arm us. When is somebody going to learn? Knock the arm down and then get into his body.
Just ban Derrick Henry. Just be done with the whole thing.
Yeah. By the way, he's a much richer man, too, by the way.
He's doing just fine.
New contract extension. Good for him.
We'll get to some of these other rule changes coming up, but OTAs underway Monday. The first one was open to the media. Trevor Lawrence, after the practice, learning yet another offense.
I really like it. It has a lot of answers. It's great. I mean, it puts a lot on the players. You have to know your stuff, but it gives you all the answers. You don't feel like you're stuck in a play that's not set up for success. It gives us a lot of answers, and we change the presentation a lot. We make a lot of things look the same. There's a whole lot of, without going into too much detail, there's a lot of things that I like about it, and it's definitely unlike any system that I've learned before. So it's been cool to learn and just pick the coach's brain and try to get it down as fast as possible.
Third offense for him now in the National Football League, and this is the time of year to get some of the kinks and the bugs worked out. He said a lot of answers out of this offense. What does that mean?
Well, it means there's a lot of options. So let's say a defense presents you with a defense A, okay, but the play that you have doesn't match that. You've got a play dialed up for defense B. Well, a lot of times it gives you, as a quarterback, the flexibility to change the play that's going to give you the best play for that defense A. And I think that's what he's referring to. And I call that the Peyton Manning effect, right? Mm-hmm. Peyton Manning comes to the line of scrimmage and he's like, Omaha, and he's changing the play 3 different times based on what the defensive look is, and it's going to give him the best chance to be in the best play.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who's played against Peyton Manning many times, he was a cerebral assassin with how he could diagnose things, see the coverages, and then call out of them. We're not expecting Trevor Lawrence right now to be in a new offense and be the next Peyton Manning, but I think giving him options, giving him choices where, okay, maybe the A choice is covered, well, here's the B choice. B choice is taken away, here's the C choice.
I also like the fact that he is in total command at this early stage, because I was there at practice on Monday, I guess it was, the first one that was open up. Was out there yesterday. He appears to be in total command of the offense. You know how sometimes when you're in OTAs, especially when it's a new coach and it's a new system, it's like, wait a minute, whoa. You didn't even get to the line of scrimmage because you're not lining up right. The quarterback doesn't have the formation set. You didn't have really any of that on the first day, which is impressive to me, and it shows that Trevor has been working his behind off leading up to the first OTA, because there's nothing that's more frustrating than to get to practices and the quarterback's not quite ready to run it.
Correct.
You know what I mean? When it comes to now, look, I'm going to tell you this: he didn't have a great day on the first day of practice. Okay, but when you're at the first day of practice, look, you're not trying to win football games on the first practice day. There's plenty of days to be better, in which I understand. From what I understand, he was better on Tuesday, and then yesterday, which was kind of a glorified walkthrough, he looked great to me.
That's what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is, and I think if you expect the offense to come out there day one and get it all together, then something's wrong. Then Liam Cohen's offense is way too simplistic, right? I'd rather see them come out there, have the defense win a little bit, have Trevor get his bearings, and learn from it. That's what this is all about. It's a learning experience. You're not trying to be Super Bowl bound right now. You're trying to learn from your mistakes and get better.
And that's where the social media aspect comes into play, right? And we're on Jaguars Happy Hour, J.P. Shadrick, Jeff Lageman, and Austen Lane. Any clip that goes on social media these days is dissected up and down, left and right. Oh, is the route crisp enough? Why is the football on the ground? Oh, he threw an interception. This didn't exist 25 years ago, this kind of coverage of OTAs 30 years ago, right? Look, just a different animal now.
The media and social media always has this offensive slant, okay? What's wrong with a defensive slant? Hey, look, great job of disrupting the timing by the defense. Great job, by the way, Anthony Campanelli's defense, getting your hands on the ball. Why don't we give a little pat on the back to the defense on the first day? Because you know what? Defense is always expected to be better early in training camp, early in the offseason training activities, because playing defense is athleticism. It's not timing and consistency and repetition. Those are all offensive things. Now, defense does require some of that to be at their best, but typically always with the very beginning of camp or mini camp or anything else, the defense is a little bit ahead.
So I'm going to tell you a quick story. So I've been training MMA down in South Florida, and before, so I'm in a certain group with like a bunch of bigger guys. The smaller guys went before us. When we got on the mats, a guy came up to me. He's like, "Hey, you used to play for the Jaguars, right?" I go, "Yeah, what's up, man?" He's like, "What's up with Travis Hunter, man? You see that clip?" And I didn't see it at the time. And I go, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Man, he's having a rough day at camp." I go, "Okay." So I train and everything. A couple hours later, I go check it out, and it's one route. It's one route that gets overthrown or whatever, and the media, and once again I say media, on a national level. And when I say media, it's in quotations because everyone's an expert now on Twitter. But people wanted to repost it and say, "Man, these routes aren't looking that crisp. You know, he's not looking like he's going to be a first-round pick." And it's baffling to me just how polarizing Travis Hunter is already.
Yeah.
And it really reminds me of like when Tim Tebow was in Jacksonville, and everybody wanted to nitpick every single little thing that he did. Travis Hunter is kind of the same way right now. And listen, we can sit here and break down one route and say, was it good or not? I remember Jamar Chase, his rookie year, had a big problem with drop balls. And I remember, I think it was like the second or third preseason game, I want to say he had like 2 or 3 drop balls in that game. Everyone's getting ready to write Jamar Chase off. Well, how did that pan out?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So we can't take one clip, one route ran and say, "Oh, I'm not sure about that pick anymore." Just enjoy the show. Let's see what happens, and let's go on from there.
Take notes of all the people that want to have that opinion about Travis Hunter. Take notes on all of them.
Oh, yeah, little receipts.
Because you know what?
Receipts.
Those receipts are going to come back to haunt every person that said anything about Travis Hunter, because I'm just going to tell you right now, watching that guy, he is gifted beyond anybody that I've ever watched. I'm talking. Look, I'm 57 years old. Okay, I've been in this NFL game for.
You're not that old, man.
I am.
Come on, man.
Okay, since I was 21 years old. And I'm here to tell you, this is one of the greatest athletes I've ever seen, I've ever laid eyes on. I'm talking, this guy is gifted beyond gifted.
You know who probably, and I haven't talked to him yet this offseason, likes this attention on Travis Hunter and everything that's going on in this offseason is probably Brian Thomas Jr.
Good point.
He's kind of flying under the radar a little bit, as much as a guy like that can. And he's sure to take the next step too. If there's attention on some of these other guys, and all of a sudden Brian Thomas has a great year under his belt already, Austin.
Yeah, I mean, whether you're a fantasy football fan or a Jaguars fan, like you gotta like what Brian Thomas Jr. is gonna be bringing to the table, right? Because this is a guy who was pretty much top 5 last year in a lot of categories at receiving. And all of a sudden you draft Travis Hunter, and do I dare say he's almost forgotten about a little bit? Like when I'm on social media, when I'm on Twitter, no one's talking about Brian Thomas Jr. and like how he looks at OTAs or how he looks like it. It's all about, okay, rookie camp, Travis Hunter, everything like that. I think this is going to help Brian Thomas Jr. I think going under the radar like he's been going, and now keep in mind, defensive coordinators got a game plan for him. The film speaks for itself, right? But from our perspective, I just think it's refreshing to know, like, we got a lot of eyes on us right now because of Travis Hunter, and it's also refreshing to know you have a top-tier wide receiver already in Brian Thomas Jr.
I think that if Brian Thomas Jr. has the same numbers that he had last year, I think it's a bigger year than he had last year. Because remember last year, I mean, there was a lot of injuries. A lot of the wide receiving group was out. Brian was able to play different positions. He became almost the entire focal point of the offense. He became, in fact, the offense, right?
With a backup quarterback a lot of that time, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this year, you add Travis Hunter, you add Diami Brown, you have Parker Washington also, by the way. So can Brian repeat the kind of numbers that he had last year? If he does, this offense is soaring at a level that it hasn't soared at in years, going way, way, way back to the early days. Because there's going to be other players that the ball is going to go to, and also a position group that the ball is going to go to that it hasn't gone to in quite some time at the rate that it should be at, which is running backs. Let's run the ball a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's the question, though, Jeff, is, you have the running game. That's probably going to be implemented. But what is this offense going to look like? Do you need Brian Thomas Jr. to have a repeat, right? Because, like, for every A.J. Brown, there's a Devontae Smith. For every Justin Jefferson, there's an Addison. So, like, do you need Brian Thomas Jr. to replicate what he did last year? Or would you rather see him maybe get a little less targets, give some more to Travis Hunter and other players as well?
I want to see the same numbers, but on less targets.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
I mean, on similar numbers on less targets. Because last year there was a little force feeding going on.
Of course.
Okay, and the play of the quarterback wasn't exactly where I think Trevor can be at. If you have better play at the quarterback position, better running game to take some of the pressure and attention off of the passing game, I think your passing numbers can be better. But again, Brian's numbers may not be right at where they were at last year, but it could be viewed as a better year if the numbers are maybe slightly off just because the ball's going to get spread around a little bit, as it should be.
That means the offense is performing at a higher level in theory all around him.
Well, that's what you hope for, because here's the reality. There's not many Justin Jeffersons and there's not many Jamar Chases. There's really not. I mean, that's a rarity. And then here's the other thing. What happens if 12 turns into one of those guys too? You know, I mean, give me the top duo in the NFL in the wide receiver room. Top duos.
I mean, I think
you just named a couple.
I think Jamar Chase, T. Higgins is
right.
One. Yeah.
Anybody else?
And the Vikings?
Vikings got Addison. You got Jefferson.
Addison's
Devontae Smith, I think, and A.J. Brown is pretty solid.
Yeah, that's fair. That's good.
I mean, if you want to go with a healthy quarterback, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
How about the Cowboys now?
I still got to see it from George Pickens, but once again, I think if you have a good quarterback, you can get him the ball.
To be determined.
Yeah.
Look, Pickens has his issues, man. I mean, Pickens' issues aren't going to just evaporate because he goes to the Dallas Cowboys.
Probably going to intensify.
Pickens was with one of the greatest coaches in the history of the game in the National Football League. And if you can't walk the line in Pittsburgh with Mike Tomlin, you think Dallas is going to cure any of his problems? In fact, Dallas is going to exacerbate any of his problems.
It's wild how Pittsburgh has lost some of their great, think of Bell back in the day because he held out for money, right? And then Bell goes to New York, Le'Veon Bell. Yeah. And then you think of a guy like Antonio Brown who had his best years in Pittsburgh, goes around the league a little bit to Tampa. He had his stint with, I think was it Oakland at the time or was it Vegas? Oakland, I think it was.
New England,
with the Raiders.
Vegas.
I think it might have Oakland. But wherever it was, but didn't have his best years there. Yeah.
Plenty ahead. We'll come back in a moment, and we'll get into the preseason schedules. Come out. Dates and times.
The question is, are they going to play any in the preseason? You don't know what Liam Cohn's mindset is.
You just don't know.
They're going to practice with one of the teams.
Spoiler. That and much more when we return on Tension XL, Jaguars.com, and Jaguars YouTube. It's Jaguars Happy Hour.
Since 2014, there's been only one official home builder of the Jaguars, Dreamfinders Homes. With quality-built homes and a speedy move-in process, we're in 20-plus communities in the best locations across Northeast Florida. Dreamfinders Homes is everywhere you want to live. So get off the sidelines, Jags fans, and get into the game. Let Dreamfinders help you navigate your home purchase and offer great interest rates. Visit DreamfindersHomes.com for all your move-in ready homes and step up your game.
Restaurant Orsay is a bustling French-American bistro focusing on classic French techniques with their chefs incorporating a traditional Southern influence. Celebrate life's special moments or just relax and enjoy their daily happy hour. Restaurant Orsay also offers full-service catering for any of your event needs. Restaurant Orsay, located in historic Avondale at 3630 Park Street. Visit www.restaurantorsay.com.
For 48 straight years, Ford F-Series have been the best-selling trucks in America. We got here by engineering breakthrough technology, redefining Built Ford Tough, and never settling for second best. But what's really made Ford F-Series the #1 selling trucks in America is you. Ford F-Series, Built Ford Tough. Based on 1977 to 2024 calendar year total sales.
Can you imagine rising for work before the crack of dawn? Tending to hundreds of acres of land before dusk? Well, that's what happens on 47,000 Florida farms every day. Florida's farmers work hard to grow nutritious food for you and your family. And you can help support them by enjoying delicious fresh from Florida produce. Look for the sunny Fresh from Florida logo where you shop or visit freshfromflorida.com to learn more.
Hi, my name is Charlie Jordan, and I'm the manager of social media for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So as manager of social media, we serve as a bridge between the fans and the franchise. And so my passion is rooted in being a fan, but I also get to work with the team each day. The Bright Future Scholarship was huge for me because I was able to pursue an education at the University of Florida. And because I didn't have to worry about paying for classes, I could spend my time covering the sports teams that I work around. I'm extremely grateful for the Bright Future Scholarship and the Florida Lottery specifically for allowing me to earn an education.
The Jaguars bring performance, strength, and passion to every play. And you'll find the same when you bank with EverBank. Open an EverBank Performance Savings account and score serious savings. See what you could earn at everbank.com/Jaguars. EverBank, advantage you. Member FDIC and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Are we going to catch every ball and throw every ball out here in the first day of Phase 3? I would assume not. But more in terms of the operation, the communication, are we understanding what we're trying to get accomplished out of the calls? It's a learning phase, not necessarily a competitive phase. And do you want to be cleaner? Absolutely. Do you want it to look perfect? Yes, we all do. That's just not the reality at this phase, this time in this phase.
Liam Cohen gets it about OTAs. Welcome back. It's Jaguars Happy Hour, and Jags football is presented by Fresh from Florida. It's always in season. J.P. Shadrick with Jeff Lageman, Austen Lane in with us again this week. We're at the Hyundai Studios of the Miller Electric Center, 1010XL, Jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube, OTA period, or phase number 3. Or no, off-season program phase 3, organized team activities. That's the proper.
Correct.
And then in a couple weeks, it's mandatory minicamp.
Yeah, which is around the 10th, 11th, 12th of June, I believe.
Right on the nose.
Yeah.
It's like you've been reading the calendar.
That's good. I'm glad.
Then it's all.
Something's working up there.
All over after that. Then it's vacation time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's everything kind of builds up to the mini camp, and it will be interesting to see kind of how the approach is this year to mini camp. In the last couple of years, the mini camp was kind of like a canceled event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like rookies and guys who needed extra work would be.
And so
if the attendance of the OTAs in the offseason was deemed to be good enough.
Gotcha.
That was the reward.
I think in the first year with the new coach and kind of the new structure of the organization, when you're trying to get everybody on the bus, so to speak, with the program, I think the approach will be a little bit different this year, and that the mini camp will be a mini camp. Now, what will it be as far as practice and everything else? That's probably to be determined, but based upon what happens between now and then, I'm sure.
And without the risk of sounding too old school here, like I think you should go through minicamp. I think you should do minicamp. Whether it's a first-year coach or a second-year coach, whatever the case may be. Just because I think the OTAs, it can be a little more casual, and if you want to, cut guys out early, so be it. But that mini camp, to me, it's really the first time you can kind of build that camaraderie, kind of build that mentality a little bit. And let's be honest here, you brought in a brand new regime with a brand new mindset. It's important to get those basic building traits in right now, and not when training camp actually starts here in July it is?
Yeah, no, and I think
late July. Yeah.
Part of that, what Austin you're referring to is building culture, right?
Of course.
Part of building culture is
the most
work
cliche
ethic.
thing. Yeah.
And hard work, and commitment.
So you love ball. If you love ball, being here is not a problem.
Well, and that's a pretty significant break between mini camp and the time training camp is scheduled to be open. So take advantage of it while you can.
Preseason schedule announced today. All 3 of the preseason games, the dates and times. Week 1, Saturday, August 9th. Jaguars at home against the Steelers, 7 p.m. on Fox 30 TV. Sunday, August 17th, at the New Orleans Saints, 1 p.m. Eastern time on a Sunday on CBS 47, 12 noon local. So get in bed early in New Orleans, Logs, that night. Saturday, August 23rd, preseason week 3 at Miami, 7 p.m. kick, a Saturday night on Fox 30. And as you referenced just before our timeout, Logs, the Jaguars will have a joint practice with the Dolphins.
Yeah, and I like that. I think it's always good because, after kind of going against the same guys every day in training camp, it gets a little bit old. Yeah. You know, and on top of that, you want to go against a different system. You also want to go against a different body type and a different type of player to kind of get your game rounded into form for the regular season.
Well, I'm excited for this Jaguars defense, too, to go against some of those Dolphins wide receivers, right? Like a Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Like, what's it going to look like if Travis Hunter's on Tyreek Hill for a little bit or Jalen Waddle? Like, let's see what the young guys got for this.
Yeah, I love that. Absolutely. And we've seen it over the years. 2017, Jaguars went to New England for the joint practices and got an eye full of how Tom Brady goes about his business.
That was one of the greatest.
Ready.
I got to say, that was one. You were there.
Yeah, it's incredible.
That was one of the greatest experiences, Austin, that I've ever had in my professional broadcasting career.
Really?
Was watching the Jaguars practice with the New England Patriots and watching how a Bill Belichick training camp, Tom Brady training camp was operated. I've never seen a more organized training camp. Like, for example, special teams. They go to a special teams period, and the special teams coach, Joe Judge, I think it was at that time, who became a head coach soon after, would call out, okay, give me the number 2 kickoff. Bam, 11 guys were there.
Yeah.
You know, there was like no trying to grab a guy from that forgot about that he was on the number 2 kickoff.
Yeah, no chaos.
They
Everything's
knew
organized.
exactly where they had to be, when they had to be, and nobody missed their assignments.
Jeff, let me ask you this, because I've had a bunch of friends, that were teammates of Peyton Manning. And from a Peyton Manning training camp, he kind of ran everything. Like, he was so intelligent where it was like, hey, we're going to run these plays right here. If you don't do them right, let's run them again. When you were at that Patriots camp, was it more of the Bill Belichick ran camp, or did Tom Brady kind of have a voice too and say, we need to do these things?
I think it was both.
Okay.
Overall, the organizational part of it was Belichick.
Sure.
But it was really interesting watching Tom Brady in the offense because Tom Brady wasn't going to work, but only with a certain number of players. And there was no substituting guys that he didn't want on the field with him.
Sure.
He controlled all of that. And so, for example, like you see in training camp, you see Trevor might work with, an undrafted rookie maybe for a rep or two. Tom Brady wasn't going to have any of that. He wasn't going to waste his rep with a guy that he wasn't going to throw to during the regular season.
We're working on the nuances with Edelman, okay?
He controlled all of that.
Yeah.
Okay, coaches weren't going, hey, give me you, and you. No, Tom was going, let's go, boys.
Yeah, that was pretty fascinating. And then, of course, later that year, back in Foxborough.
And what he did after practice. Remember what Tom Brady was doing after practice with the legs and all that kind of extra work that he was doing physically? I mean, it was impressive, man. That was an eye-opener.
Zero carbs, too. Unbelievable. It's wild how he could do all that with zero carbs. He's not a big guy into carbs, Jeff. I mean, they need energy.
Gotta have it.
You get carbs from meat, don't you?
Maybe a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah. Don't look at me. I know I eat a lot of carbs, but I don't know what I'm eating. I mean, you would know. You're the one that's training right now.
Oh, and I use carbs. Yeah, right. I use a lot of carbs. From my understanding, I guess Tom Brady isn't a big carb guy. Yeah,
he's kind of skinny.
He is.
JP's a carb king.
We're training for different things right now.
True.
Me and Lane.
Here's the one thing. I mean, look. How can you not have a little bit of linguine white clam or pasta?
Preach.
Or something.
Treat yourself a little bit, right?
Yeah,
have a cheat day.
It's a long
you don't
season.
have to do it every day.
It's a long season.
But, I mean,
he's treating himself with avocado ice cream, I think, was on the menu for him. He was talking about one time.
I remember every week when I was training, seriously, when I was playing, I think it was like once a week I used to go to Fuddruckers.
Okay.
Oh, the burger place.
Just
come on.
One day. Yeah. Just give me one meal during the week where you can have a little treat, maybe even a little ice cream afterwards, milkshake or something like that.
Yeah.
Kind of a reward. Can't live it all the time.
You got to. I mean, listen, I shared a locker room with Greg Jones, who was built like a G.I. Joe.
Oh, my God.
And that dude lived off of grilled chicken and broccoli. I don't know how he did it, man. Every single lunch, every single dinner, all I see him eat was grilled chicken and broccoli. And, hey, it worked out because he had the physique, but, man.
There was two guys that I remember in covering this game as a player and then as a broadcaster. The first one that I ever came across who was just physically gifted was an offensive tackle that we acquired in New York from the Kansas City Chiefs. His name was Irv Eatman.
Okay.
Irv Eatman was 6'5.5", 310 pounds, and didn't even try to be. and he couldn't lift weights in the offseason because he just got too big. Greg Jones was kind of along those lines too. I mean, just a guy that if he went to the weight room and he started lifting weights on a Monday, by Friday he gained 1 inch in his bicep. Herb Eatman was the same way.
Yeah. And I've always said about Greg Jones, there was one guy I ever played, I shared a locker room with, I would never want to fight.
Oh, yeah.
And that was Greg Jones.
He's
Never wanted to mess with Greg Jones, man.
He's the guy I'm picking in an alley fight.
Absolutely.
So the one guy that I would never want to get in a tangle with that I ever played with was Mo Lewis.
Okay.
Linebacker from Georgia. Mo was a linebacker with the Jets, and there was a guy that we had actually acquired from the Canadian Football League one year and thought he was everything because he had all these sacks with the Canadian Football League. And he ran his mouth to Mo in the locker room one time, and all of a sudden there was a tussle because this guy, I think his name was Danny. Danny ran his mouth to Mo. We all knew you didn't mess with Mo. Mo was a martial arts guy.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, and here Mo never wore socks a day in his football life.
Country, huh?
Country.
Yeah.
Barefoot in the shoe, and then tape the sock from the low ankle up. Okay?
Dang.
And Mo, next thing you know, when Danny ran his lip, all of a sudden there was a bang, 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 and next thing you know, Danny is stuffed in a locker begging for Mo to stop.
Yeah.
And everybody else is just sitting there going, we told you.
We
told you.
Gonna learn.
We'll come back in a moment. And, hey, some of the rules changes that were voted in by league ownership this week, including some players that could be playing for their country here in a couple of years. We're back in a moment. It's Jaguars Happy Hour.
Since 2014, there's been only one official home builder of the Jaguars, Dreamfinders Homes. With quality-built homes and a speedy move-in process, we're in 20-plus communities in the best locations across Northeast Florida. Dreamfinders Homes is everywhere you want to live. So get off the sidelines, Jags fans, and get into the game. Let Dreamfinders help you navigate your home purchase and offer great interest rates. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for all your move-in ready homes and step up your game.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Paid for by FDOT.
And that's a Magellan first down.
Move the freight. Move the freight. Move the freight.
Would you like to control your own income? Work at Magellan Transport. Voted the coolest office space in Duval. Bring your talents and let your career flourish. Visit their website at MagellanLogistics.com and apply online. Trust service. Trust Magellan.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at Everbank Stadium because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit Barbecue. We are the local barbecue joint in BBQval for generations of people in Jacksonville. Go to bonosbarbecue.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
The Jaguars bring performance, strength, and passion to every play. And you'll find the same when you bank with Everbank. Open an Everbank Performance Savings account and score serious savings. See what you could earn at everbank.com/Jaguars. Everbank, advantage you. Member FDIC and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Floridians, do you know how close you are to freshness? It's not a plane or a ship ride away. It's not across an ocean or over the equator. It's not even a far drive. The peak of freshness is at your grocery store, and it's called Fresh from Florida. Fresh from Florida is local produce grown by farmers right here in our own state, meaning it's always fresh, always in season, and always mouth-wateringly good. Look for the sunny Fresh from Florida logo or ask for it by name where you shop.
got a lot of juice. Like he can run all day, a lot of energy. I love it. Good energy. Always dapping guys up, just bringing juice every day. And like I said, high motor, can just go. It's like a kid, just runs around all day. He doesn't get tired, it seems like. So you can't have enough of that. And then as far as just talent, I mean, kind of speaks for itself. Ball skills, run after the catch. He's very explosive. Just didn't realize how explosive he was in and out of cuts. You know, he's impressive to watch, and we've gotten to connect a couple times. It's only going to keep getting better and better. You know, we've only worked together for a couple days now, so we got some time to really dial in on the details.
Trevor Lawrence, Jaguars quarterback, discussing his new weapon, Travis Hunter, wide receiver and defensive back for the Jags, the number 2 overall pick. And welcome back. It's Jaguars Happy Hour. J.P. Shadrick, Jeff Lageman, Austen Lane. Busy schedule at Daly's Place coming up. Kodak Black replacing T-Pain May 31st. We're closing in 9 days away from that. Sticks, Kevin Cronin, Don Felder, June 2nd. Old Dominion, June 6th. A little later in the summer, 2 nights, not 1, but 2 nights of Shania Twain.
Ooh, I like it.
I might have to go to one of those, or 2 of those.
This brings me back to like my Thanksgiving days watching like the halftime shows.
Yeah,
I
see?
felt like she would always perform on those things.
That's right.
And then my grandma would be like, cover your eyes a little bit, Austin. I'm like, we're good. I can handle it.
Did you make a call yet for the Baselli couch?
Not yet. We need to to work on that.
All right. I'm in. If you get the couch, I'm in.
DailysPlace.com for tickets and show information throughout the summer.
She puts on a good show too. I heard she's outstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why people are selling it for 2 nights.
2 nights
makes sense. Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's certain people that put on a really good show. Mm-hmm. And who's the one country artist that one of the greatest live entertainers of all time?
Garth Brooks.
Garth Brooks. Thank you.
Yep. I got you, man.
I forgot his name.
Even I got it.
It just took me a minute. Okay,
I'm going to start naming names.
I got to go through a lot of files back there, J.P. You know, to retrieve names. You know, the older you get, the more files you have. Well, it takes you a little longer to retrieve them things. You know, but he supposedly puts on one hell of a show, and Shania Twain is like the female version of him. I've heard.
I believe that.
Yeah. About the same time frame. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. League owners met this week. A lot of voting going on. And one of the items that they have allowed is to permit players to play in flag football competition in the 2028 Olympic Games in Los Angeles. The flag football competition will consist of 6 men's teams and 6 women's teams, 10 players per team. The game itself is 5-on-5. NFL player participation with their country's national flag football teams will begin with a tryout or qualification process in advance of the competition. It'll be held in the soccer stadium next to the LA Coliseum. 1 player per NFL team maximum, plus the designated international player compete for their home country as well. So the question I have, this is probably an easy answer. Which Jaguars player would be the best candidate for this?
I'll let you go first.
I mean, I'm going Travis Hunter because if it's flag football, you got to play offense and defense. Travis Hunter, it is.
Fair.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt.
Yeah,
it's Travis.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
because
because
practiced 3 times.
Well, it's no, I get that, but think about what flag football is. You know, and look, let me pull out my Al Bundy impression here.
Okay. Which one?
I used to
wait
play
to hear
back
this.
at Polk County High School. Okay, and you know, my glory days. Okay, I used to actually be a flag football coach. Flag football is not a physical game. Okay, so the big physical part is not involved. So what Trevor just got done talking about, a guy that never gets tired, a guy that's special coming in and out of his breaks, that's got great hands, great ball skills. He's going to be one of the most recognizable athletes, I think, immediately once he stepped onto the field to play flag football. I think it makes sense to be Travis. I mean, and you're right, 2-way, then it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Yep. Easy answer.
Who would be 2 is the question.
That's a good point.
Give me a 2.
Great question.
I mean, because the number 1 is a slam dunk.
I mean,
in my mind,
if you want to be elusive and all that, I mean, Parker Washington, right? On offense.
Okay.
Sure.
That's one, maybe. I don't know. What do you think, Austen?
I mean, it's because I'm trying to think who can play offense and defense. Because is this how it's going to work? Like, you got to play both ways,
you have 10 players, 5 are on the field at a time.
Okay, so you
can have some platoon stuff.
You can have some specialization.
You could.
Saying. Okay.
You could. Those roster
you
spots
could,
are
but
valuable.
you like to have somebody that can play
if
both
you got
ways.
2 for the price of 1, okay.
Yeah.
Come on.
Then I lean towards Parker Washington just in terms of like the wiggle and the shake, because like I can say Brian Thomas Jr., but like is that straightaway speed? Is that gonna? I don't know. The flag football game is completely different. And what I'm curious about is like, we don't really know this, but I know it's out there. I've seen it on like ESPN 10, like at midnight. Like there is like professional flag football league.
Do they have a 10 now?
No, I mean it was something like that, but it was
How many did they have anyway back in the day?
It was a few.
It was a few, and this is super late at night.
Yeah.
But like they have professional flag football league. So my question is like, are some of those players going to miss out on making that Olympic roster? Going to have something to say about these NFL guys coming in and kind of taking their sport away?
I'm taking BTJ.
BTJ,
Yeah,
Just throw
I'm
it
gonna
up,
take him. I'm going to take Brian. You know, I mean, the ability to his deep speed ability is something that would have to be contended with. And his length, I think, as a defender, I think would be sufficient. I think Brian is a great athlete. I'm talking a great athlete.
All right, here's a question then. Who's the quarterback? You don't have to be
For
super.
which team? For the U.S.
You don't have to be super elusive, do you? You just have to get past one
I don't
rush.
think there's any doubt it's Patrick Mahomes.
You got to go Mahomes.
Because here's
Arm
why.
angles
Here's why.
and everything.
He can throw the ball any which way you want.
But then do you go like Lamar Jackson just in terms of shiftiness and being able to run though too? I mean, he's got the arm capabilities.
You're right.
I would maybe go Lamar.
Are they allowed to
here's the
run?
thing.
I assume so.
I would
yeah.
think. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I
don't know the
mean,
rules.
do you want the guy that can throw it to a guy like Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr.? Or do you want a guy that can – I mean, that's a great debate.
Yeah.
It's a great debate. Because you're right. I mean, the leg threat in flag football, then you would sit there and go, okay, Lamar. But I think it comes down to Lamar and Patrick. I don't think anybody else would even be –
Now, if we're
under consideration.
turning back the clock, I'd take Michael Vick all day.
Oh yeah,
in his prime.
In his prime for sure.
I mean, look, I'd take
To be
Lamar
elusive?
over Michael Vick. I'd take Lamar over Michael Vick any day of the week.
I know. I'm just trying to get the flags.
Lamar
right?
is a new and
Yeah.
improved and better Michael Vick, in my mind. The only other guy I think that would be under consideration, probably Josh Allen. Right? I mean, I don't see anybody else.
I mean, he's got the arm talent for sure, and like, granted, the guy can run for sure. But like, I think Josh Allen, I don't see shiftiness.
No, I don't
with
either.
Josh Allen.
I don't either.
Like I think the name of the game in flag football, and this is coming from somebody who hasn't played flag football in 20 years, but I feel like the name of the game is like shiftiness and being able to wiggle.
Can you imagine? I mean, because all these guys that play flag football professionally now are talking about, oh, we can't have these NFL guys coming in. They're not as good as us. They don't do it. They've never seen anybody the likes of Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Or Travis Hunter.
Or Tyreek Hill running at him.
Or Tyreek.
Yeah.
They think they know.
Yeah.
No. They don't know.
These guys are still working other jobs as well to
They don't
try
know.
to,
they don't
support themselves in their flag football fantasies. And meanwhile, you got, Lamar Jackson getting paid a lot of money.
This is a different planet.
I played intramural flag football at Alabama.
Okay.
We were a terrible team.
Were you offensive lineman?
Sometimes. And I was penalized so much for my big mouth and talking to the refs. It didn't go well. I lasted one season.
Imagine that.
I wasn't asked back.
So, JP, obviously Alabama's very rich football tradition. Is it the same thing in intramural? Like, did you have to make the roster? Did you have to? Was it a tryout?
Oh no, we were terrible.
Okay,
we
I
were
got
just a
you.
bad team.
Yeah, okay. Playing for pride then, more than anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to run around and get a workout in.
The question I think that's going to be interesting to me is, are you going to be allowed to protect anybody as a team?
Ooh, yeah. Who are the guys that you're
That's
not
a good
taking?
call.
Good question.
You know
That's
what I
a
mean?
good call.
I mean, if
What is the selection process?
let's say
Great
an
question.
organization, or each NFL team may be allowed to protect one player to keep them from being picked for the flag. I mean, because look, if you're Kansas City, do you really want? And if you're Baltimore, do you want your quarterback risking? I mean, you're paying these guys $60 million a year. Are you wanting to put them at risk? And what happens if in the event there is an injury?
Oh, knock on wood. If there's an injury, shut it all down then. If there's one injury, I feel like every NFL team will go, nope, our guys are done playing.
But will they give the team, going back to the first years of free agency, it was called Plan B, and you were allowed to protect certain guys or expose certain guys for the free agent period. And then you could protect guys, obviously, with the franchise tag and the transition tag. Are you going to have the ability to do something like that to where you can say, hey, look, this guy to our franchise is everything. We don't want to expose him to flag football. We don't care. You can't take him.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a bad idea just to protect.
If you're the owner of an NFL team, would you want to have that ability?
Maybe so.
I think if I'm an owner, I would.
Yeah.
But if I'm a player and your chance to represent your country on the biggest stage ever, like if an owner tells me, no, I can't do that, I'm going to feel a certain type of way about that, I think.
It's gonna be interesting to see how this all works out.
Yeah.
And I think I like it. Trust me, I like the idea of NFL players being involved in Olympic flag football.
We'll see what happens with this moving ahead. But there were a couple other changes as well. The NFL approving onside kicks in any quarter now. You have to declare it. But now you can do it in any quarter. And I believe, the onside kick will now be from the 34-yard line, not the 35. So 9 yards away from the opposition. That brings it a little bit closer. Maybe increases the
Weren't they talking about
probability.
changing the alignment, too, of some of the players on the onside kick? I think there was some discussion about that to make it a greater possibility of an onside kick being successful.
Don't see that here.
Okay, I don't know if there was talk of that.
The Lions playoff reseeding proposal was tabled at the last minute, thank goodness.
Goodell's in favor of that, and I don't quite get that. You know, when I see Roger in London this year, because I see him every year and have a conversation with him. I'm going to ask him. I'd like to know why he's so in favor of kind of eliminating the importance of division championships. You know, and they seem to think, because what they're talking about is seeding, is that let's say you have a team in another division other than the Jaguars, and their team is better than the Jaguars.
Yep.
That they would be seeded higher than the Jaguars, and they weren't a division winner, and the Jaguars were.
Sure. But I agree with Roger Goodell a little bit here, because if you win your division, that means you get an automatic ticket to the playoffs. Like, that's a reward.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a hard time justifying a team that has a losing record that they get rewarded to host a home playoff game. I don't think that's right.
Well, and
They won the division.
I think
they won the division, but they still have a losing record.
But they won the division.
So then they go to the playoffs. Congratulations.
They get a home game.
Well, maybe
you won the division.
No, you get to go to the playoffs. Congratulations. But you can't host a home game if you have a losing record.
Why not? You won the division.
You go to the playoffs. Congratulations.
It's not my team's fault that the rest of the division sucks.
No, I hear you.
It's not my fault. We're 7-9 or whatever, won the division.
Keep going. I like this.
I mean, come on, man.
Keep going.
Division titles matter.
The division titles do matter, and that's why you're going to the playoffs. But I think if we're going to rank teams with records, because that's what the record does, right? The better team with the better record should be able to host a home game.
Then win the division. Sorry, the Lions are better than the Vikings.
Okay, the argument is
be better. Don't lose. Win.
Okay, the argument is what the people that are in favor of having seeding be more about record, less about division championships, is that it will be more compelling football at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily agree with that, because winning the division and not winning the division is compelling football, and seeding is still at stake, regardless of whether or not you're going to be advancing as the 4 seed because you didn't win the division or did win the division or anything of that nature. But I like division importance just because it's been that way forever.
Sure.
It's tradition, and I believe that tradition means something in this game.
Well, it did, and then they outlawed the kickoff. I mean, listen, tradition sounds great and everything, but they're constantly changing all the rules. And I think if we talk about in terms of the record, right, and in terms of who's better seated, I think it's more incentive to play guys the entire season then, because we see too many times where there's 2 games left, and team want to sit players because why? It's already set in stone. We're good. We won the division. We're going to get a home game. We're all good. Now what happens if you say, you know what? Just because we won a division in a bad division doesn't mean we get a home playoff game. So we still have something to play for. That's what it's all about. I don't want to tune into whatever week 17, week 18 and see guys sit out where it's like a preseason game. I want to see them play through.
If they're losing record, they're not getting in the playoffs anyway. What are they playing for?
If you have a losing record and you win your division, you're still getting in.
Right, but the team that doesn't, right behind them,
but okay, say you have like 2 7-win teams, right, fighting for a division. Yeah. And like maybe like there's like a tiebreak already. Like they're going to sit out.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I would.
I don't want to.
I would sit him too.
Yeah.
I think it's a
would.
great argument. I mean, and I look, I don't want to say I can go either way on this because I don't, because again, I like the tradition of the division, but I understand your point.
Yeah.
And that the better the team should get a reward for being a better team.
Let's come back in a moment. Jim Irsay passed away, owner of the Indianapolis Colts. We'll get to that and our final thoughts when we return on 1010XL, Jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube. It's Jaguars Happy Hour.
Since 2014, there's been only one official home builder of the Jaguars, Dream Finders Homes. With quality-built homes and a speedy move-in process, we're in 20-plus communities in the best locations across Northeast Florida. Dream Finders Homes is everywhere you want to live. So get off the sidelines, Jags fans, and get into the game. Let Dream Finders help you navigate your home purchase and offer great interest rates. Visit DreamFindersHomes.com for all your move-in ready homes and step up your game. The Jaguars bring performance, strength, and passion to every play. And you'll find the same when you bank with EverBank. Open an EverBank Performance Savings account and score serious savings. See what you could earn at everbank.com/Jaguars. EverBank, advantage you. Member FDIC and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hi, my name is Charlie Jordan, and I'm the manager of social media for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So as manager of social media, we serve as a bridge between the fans and the franchise. And so my passion is rooted in being a fan, but I also get to work with the team each day. The Bright Future Scholarship was huge for me because I was able to pursue an education at the University of Florida. And because I didn't have to worry about paying for classes, I could spend my time covering the sports teams that I work around. I'm extremely grateful for the Bright Future Scholarship and the Florida Lottery specifically for allowing me to earn an education.
Ranked as the nation's best public university by the Wall Street Journal, the University of Florida is on a mission to transform education. UF continues to help grow the economy through research breakthroughs and leadership in AI. And with its nationally recognized career services, UF students and graduates have never been better prepared to make a difference in the world. To learn more about how the University of Florida fuels bold ideas that make an impact around the globe, visit fromflorida.ufl.edu.
Plumbing problem? Septic emergency? HVAC system not doing its job? Don't panic. Call the pros at Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning. From leaks, clogged drains to septic installations and air conditioning repairs, we've got the tools and expertise to get it done right. Dial 904-862-6769 now and let our friendly team handle the dirty work so you don't have to. Remember, when you're stuck, call the Duck.
For 48 straight years, Ford F-Series have been the best-selling trucks in America. We got here by engineering breakthrough technology, redefining built Ford tough, and never settling for second best. But what's really made Ford F-Series the #1 selling trucks in America is you. Ford F-Series, built Ford tough. Based on 1977 to 2024 calendar year total sales.
I actually thought they did some really good things today. I thought just from a communication standpoint, punching the ball out, doing it in the right way though, right? We had a couple guys just trying to be intentional about getting the ball out and getting their hands on the football, something that we're, actively trying to be intentional about this whole offseason. And I thought the defensive staff's done a great job of communicating that in the meeting settings, bringing it out to the practice field. I thought that they did a nice job kind of setting the line of scrimmage, playing with length on the D-line, and, the ball was out. I mean, the ball was on the ground too many times for us offensively, but, hey, on the flip side of it, that's the first time as a head coach you actually kind of have to be very neutral in those moments where I'm kind of ticked off that the ball is on the ground from an offensive standpoint, but ultimately, man, defense did a nice job of getting the ball out today for us.
Liam Cohen, Jaguars head coach, after Monday's organized team activities practice. Welcome back. Final moments of Jaguars Happy Hour presented by Dream Finders Homes, official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Sweet sunglasses by Liam Cohen, by the way, too.
I'm not mad at those.
Good choice.
No, but just a real quick comment on what he's talking about the defense forcing the ball for some takeaways there. Yeah. If you go back and you remember the traits of the Green Bay Packers defense, okay, last year. It was one of the most well-coached, fundamentally sound football defenses in the National Football League. And they were also really good at taking the ball away. If that's what Anthony Campanile can bring to this Jaguars defense after the debacle that happened last year here, I can't wait to see him play. Because Green Bay, they never gave you a crack to where they would show you any kind of deficiency in their defense. When you watch the film on them, they were just solid every single play, communicated, always on the same page, and I can't wait to see this defense kind of evolve.
I think when you talk about that Green Bay defense, you talk about, and this is one of the most cliche things, I've sure heard it many times before, Jeff, but it's bend, don't break, right? And very rarely did I ever watch a lot of Packers games, and I saw a lot of explosive plays. Well, how many explosive plays did you see last year against this Jaguars defense, right? Whether it was in the run game or the pass game.
NFL high.
Yeah, NFL high, exactly. So that needs to be brought down by a bunch if you want to have a chance to win football games. I think you bring that Green Bay philosophy over here, you're going to have a chance.
Jim Irsay passed away yesterday at the age of 65, the owner of the Indianapolis Colts. Of course, the son of the legendary owner of the Baltimore Colts. They moved the franchise to Indianapolis. Jim Irsay started as a ball boy back in the old days and stayed with the organization, certainly was the VP and GM in the late 80s and into the 90s, and then took over as owner when his father passed away in 1997. They've seen really high success, certainly with the franchise in Indianapolis, with a Super Bowl championship, franchise quarterbacks, plural, in his time there, a new stadium, Lucas Oil Stadium. There were moments of issues for Jim Irsay in his personal life as well, but passed away in his sleep yesterday afternoon at the age of 65, Lux.
Yeah, and it was interesting reading all the different stories from different people that worked within that organization. And he was eccentric, very eccentric, had his flaws, like you said, and his flaws were many and sometimes at the forefront of people's minds when sometimes he hit the front page headlines. But, you read the stories from Peyton Manning to Tony Dungy to the equipment guys, et cetera, how caring and giving that he was, truly impressive. And one of the moments that I really appreciated out of him was some of the honest moments that he had when he was willing to speak out on certain things when other owners were not as likely to speak out. And I appreciated his honesty, in particular, going back to the Daniel Snyder thing. I thought that was a big thing. And a lot of people looked at that as like, you got to keep quiet. I'm like, no, he's got to be honest. And if that's what you believe, speak your mind. And he did. Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the bittersweet facts of life that when somebody passes away, you find out how amazing they are, right? And I didn't really know who Jim Irsay was. I mean, I remember reading the headlines and everything, but hearing all these stories of how he gave back to the community and how much he cared about that city of Indianapolis, he's obviously going to be missed there and everything. And to kind of, echo off what Jeff was saying, I mean, he was one of the very first voices to speak up over Dan Snyder. And I always feel like, when you become a billionaire, you almost have to act a certain way, right? You're almost like in this fraternity where you got to do things a certain way by the book. And I feel like Jim Irsay didn't do that. I feel like Jim Irsay was more of like the everyday man where, he got $1 billion, but he's still going to do his thing, whether that's talking about music and celebrating all the guitars that he had or making crazy viral videos. Like that dude marched to the beat of his own drum, and more power to him for doing that.
And he has this music collection as well of instruments that actually toured the country with it. And from all the 200 guitars and Beatles memorabilia and all these things that he collected as a pastime.
He spent a lot of money on a lot of that stuff. It'll be interesting to see the direction of the franchise, because we all have had some experience probably with inheritance tax and everything else. He's got 3 daughters. What will be the future of the franchise? We don't know.
We will find out. Austin, we'll see you soon.
I'll see you guys soon. See you when I see you.
Couple weeks?
Yeah,
all
I'll be
right.
back.
That's Austen Lane. That's Jeff Lageman. I'm J.P. Shadrick. And thanks to Brooke Hoppy, Brent Reber, Joe Fortunato. Thanks to you for listening. It's Jaguars Happy Hour.